We've only got a week until the next Marvel show. Loki is coming to Disney Plus on June 9th, on a Wednesday instead of the standard Friday of other big Disney Plus shows. We have some idea of what we will be seeing next week, with a lot of hype surrounding the show, claiming it will be a very different and exciting project from anything we've seen before. A large part of this is due to the time-related issues that Loki has inadvertently caused. We know that because of this, we will be seeing alternate worlds and timelines, and these worlds might introduce new versions of popular characters and possibly even be an introduction to Kang. As Jonathan Majors has been rumored to be part of the show because of his love interest, Judge Renslayer is part of the show, and his costumer that worked with him on Lovecraft Country is credited as his personal costumer. But all of this time traveling and time monitoring would not be possible without the help of the TVA. So what is the TVA, how did it start, who makes up this organization, and what could its inclusion mean for the future of the MCU? The TVA, or Time Variance Authority, is a bureaucratic organization that exists outside of the multiverse in the Null time zone. They were formed in the very distant future with the calling to watch all realities in the multiverse to make sure that the timelines are not messed with, keeping temporal interference to a minimum. While they aren't the only temporal authority in the Marvel multiverse, constantly having territorial disputes of sorts with Kang's dynasty, Alioth, a being who broke free from the constraints of time, Revelation, an alter ego of Ravonna Renslayer, the Congress of Realities, and the Del Lubric Consortium, the TVA is one of the largest of these groups or organizations. The TVA's whole focus is on efficiency and authority, and they can do this because of their faceless workforce. The TVA's number of employees is vast and constantly growing to keep control of the timelines in their hands. They basically breed their agents and their judges from clones to keep disputes to a minimum, as well as making training efficiency very simple. These faceless bureaucrats work from birth until death, and generally knowing nothing other than what the TVA requires of them. But there are those who are recruited to help that are not born into the TVA, who are called upon to help serve the multiverse because of their potential. Some of these include Justice Peace and even Wade Wilson. The TVA has been keeping track of temporal issues in the multiverse for many years, trying to help both heroes and villains with time-related crimes and issues. Their very first appearance was with Thor in 1986, where Justice Peace appears to help him to fight against Zaniac, a monster that possesses men and makes them hunt down and kill women, namely Jane Foster in this case. They also brought She-Hulk to trial after she tried to save Hawkeye by passing him a note while both of them were pulled from different points in time to be jurors for another trial. Passing this note got her in trouble with the TVA for trying to mess with the timeline, but while she was going to trial, one of the guards pulled from another timeline to help restrain her, named Southpaw, was hunted down by her enemy, Clockwise. Clockwise followed Southpaw through time and ended up fighting her in the TVA, but was ultimately defeated by She-Hulk, causing her case to be thrown out by Mobius M. Mobius because of her heroics. So although the TVA has existed and played a part from time to time, for the most part they have existed in the shadows. But now that they are making an appearance in the MCU, it brings up both questions and many future possibilities. One of the first things to ask is if this version of the TVA is the same one as the one that exists outside of the multiverse in the comics. Since the TVA is technically a multiverse organization, the possibility is there but does not seem very likely for this version. The TVA in the MCU appears to have a slightly different history, having been created by the Timekeepers, who in the comics were actually created by the oldest director of the TVA from a past multiverse known as He Who Remains. So already the history is a little bit different, but this could be a good thing. This TVA, since it exists in a theatrical version of Marvel's multiverse, this means the organization could be the one that bridges the gap between MCU movies and past and future alternate Marvel stories, such as Spider-Man, X-Men, or even the Sony Spider-Verse. While this supposedly new version of the TVA appears to act in a very similar way to the comics version, there is no word yet as to how it was formed, who the employees really are, or even how it actually functions, in comparison to the comics. The employees so far seem to give the feeling off that they are possibly a little bit alien themselves, or are possibly pulled from time to serve the TVA. But either way, the TVA and its employees are in full bureaucratic swing, with long lines, unnecessarily large amounts of paperwork, and inhumane treatment for those who are prisoners of the TVA. So with only 1 week to go till we see this potentially world-changing and building organization appear in the MCU, what could it bring to the future outside of Loki? One of the big things is that the TVA's multiverse involvement could make a cameo in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, since the Time Stone is gone as well as his use of it to manipulate time on multiple occasions. Then, as stated before, it could play a significant role as well as introducing characters like Kang, as well as other versions of the Avengers on different worlds, or even possibly female Loki, as some fans have speculated. And then on top of all of this, the TVA may become the new home to Loki, especially if we do get a season 2 of the show. And since the MCU seems to like where they are going with time travel, the TVA card may be played quite a few times in future phases. What do you think of the TVA? Do you think that it could become a way to bridge different theatrical universes in Marvel? Do you think that it exists to bridge the multiverse altogether, or just the theatrical versions? And do you think it will disappear into the background or play a larger role in the whole of the MCU? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and then like this video and subscribe to the Marvelous Wave to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.